devastating. It's extremely hard right now.
A blow to Ontario's auto sector. General Motors puts the brakes on production at one of its plants. Tonight, details of the temporary shutdown and the impact on the employees facing weeks without work. Good evening. The temporary shutdown is at the GM CAMI Assembly plant in Ingersoll. Officials say it's not related to the tariffs, but that's little consolation to the hundreds of impacted workers and an industry already on edge. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with the details. Siobhan.
We know that auto workers across the province have been feeling anxious for months now. So tonight, however temporary this closure may be, those anxieties remain high. The electric delivery van BrightDrop got a flashy unveiling in December 2022, pitched by GM as a game changer for Ingersoll's CAMI plant. Now it's navigating some bumps, going temporarily dark, causing life-changing upheaval for hundreds of families.
It's going to be a tough few days for people to digest this and figure out what's going on in life.
In a statement, GM Canada explains it's making operational and employment adjustments to balance inventory and align production, responding to market demand and rebalancing inventory. They emphasize production of BrightDrop and EV battery assembly will remain at CAMI.
How are you, sir?
The Premier says he spoke with the company's president about the decision.
It has nothing to do with the tariffs, he said. People are not purchasing like they thought they would. So they have thousands of vehicles sitting there.
Here's what that means for GM workers in Ingersoll. Starting Monday, all 1,200 of the CAMI plant's workers will be laid off. In May, the plant will restart for a limited production run. Once that's done, the plant will close for retooling. It won't reopen until October, down to just one shift. 450
people are likely going to be laid off indefinitely, which is really 450 families, and it's just the ripple effect on top of that. It's just for our community, for our families, it's going to be devastating.
While auto tariffs may not be the driver behind the layoffs,
but the U.S. tariff situation certainly doesn't help. We need the Prime Minister, the party leaders, all to be focused on solving this problem with the U.S.
The mayor of Ingersoll admits right now it's hard to move the kind of vehicle CAMI is making.
Any sort of a vehicle that's targeted towards the commercial market, companies just aren't making investments because of the uncertainty in the world.
It's why Doug Ford wants intervention.
Make sure that we get government, especially Canada Post, to pick up some of these vehicles, because that's what it's geared for.
There's hope that GM and Unifor can work together to find a new way to use the CAMI plant or the vehicles it churns out. Until then,
not a good day for the town of Ingersoll and certainly the employees that are affected by this.
That one auto sector job means 6 other spin-off jobs. So with this temporary closure, there are questions about possible hits to businesses like restaurants, gas stations, even local real estate. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Border town businesses say they're feeling the impact of the trade war.
Duty-free stores are seeing sales drop as fewer Canadians travel to the United States. CTV's John Musselman reports.
The duty-free store at the Rainbow Bridge in Niagara Falls is a good indicator of what's going on. The parking lot is nearly empty and foot traffic is way down. General Manager Steve Richardson says it's pretty bleak.
The Canadians aren't traveling to the States right now, and that certainly has had an impact on our business. When you're down 30 to 40% and the parking lot's empty on a Friday, you know the Canadians are flexing their patriotic muscles, but at some point, we're having a difficult time surviving.
Bridge traffic numbers are down. It's also noticeable on Clifton Hill. This was noon hour on a Friday, and business operators say it is quieter than normal.
Lately, it's picking up as the summer months are coming. We've had March break pass by with school, college year is ending, but it is a little bit less than usual.
This woman is a regular visitor to Niagara Falls from Oshawa. She says she's noticed a difference.
I have noticed it a little bit. Every time I come here, I always like to check parking lots and stuff. Like, okay, where's everybody from? I think out of 100 cars, I've only seen like one New York plate.
Still, Americans are coming. The U.S. dollar goes a long way here. This couple from New England say they have heard a few anti-Trump comments, but for the most part, they've been welcomed with open arms.
When we were taking the shuttle over to our hotel, the bus driver had said, asked the same question. We weren't really thinking about that coming to Canada.
Just making sure when we went to be safe, things like that.
And this family from Michigan say they have picked up on the tensions Canadians are feeling towards President Trump.
So far, we've been treated very nicely, but we can tell there is some unease. We could definitely tell it. There's, while we're walking around Toronto and stuff, we saw like restaurants that say everything's Canadian or made in Canada and stuff like that.
The mayor of Niagara Falls says diplomacy is critical here right now.
Here in Niagara Falls, we get upwards of 14 million visitors. Typically, around 4 million are Americans, and they represent half the revenue. So the last thing we want is them not coming to visit, not feeling connected to us.
Diodati says it could be a double win for his city this summer, with more Canadians remaining at home on staycations and more Americans coming in to take advantage of their strong U.S. dollars. John Musselman, CTV News in Niagara Falls.
Also tonight, Ontario's big city mayors discuss big city issues, the concerns about Trump's tariffs and the united call for more government funding to protect jobs.
But first, we return to disturbing details of a violent home invasion and robbery in Scarborough.
A family attacked, 2 men injured as police hunt for multiple suspects still on the loose. CTV's Janice Golding has the details.
Hi, yes. For a group of men who broke into a Finch and McAllen area townhome through the rear door, armed with hammers and a knife. Police can be seen inspecting the area behind a townhome on Sandhurst Circle this morning, searching for clues after a violent home invasion.
A group of assailants entered a residential unit. They produced hammers, and one of the assailants did produce a knife, and they zip-tied the occupants of the home. They zip-tied their hands together.
Not only did they restrain the Scarborough residents, but a man in the home was assaulted with a hammer and threatened with a knife. He sustained serious head trauma. Another adult male also injured.
Because we thought that that's a very nice place to live in, and when you hear just next door something like this happen, it scares you.
For it's safe, and this is a quiet place. The neighbors are fine. Everybody is happy here. So
this is the first time that happens, because we live here for almost more than 20 years ago.
Police say the suspects, men between 20 and 30, took a large quantity of jewelry and cash. 2 relatives who did not want to appear on camera told CTV News an occupant of the home works with gold, saying he has a shop and takes on jewelry design projects.
Due to the nature of this robbery-style home invasion, it is believed that this is potentially a targeted event that took place.
Police say when they arrived on scene just after 2:15 a.m., the occupants, which include children, needed to be released from their bindings.
We can imagine how traumatizing this is for the people who were involved.
The hold-up squad is looking for several suspects between 20 and 30 years of age. They were last seen wearing dark clothing. Now, police say the suspects are considered armed and dangerous, so if you do see them, do not approach them, but call 911 immediately. The investigation continues. I'm Janice Golding. Now back to the desk.
Thank you, Janice. Also in Scarborough, a man in his 20s is fighting for his life after he showed up at a hospital with a gunshot wound. Toronto police say they don't know where the shooting took place, but it may have happened near Warden and St. Clair. The victim's injuries are deemed non-threatening when he arrived at 12:40 a.m., but his condition has since worsened. Police are asking anyone with information to get in touch.
And an investigation is underway in Oakville after a body was found in Lake Ontario. Emergency crews responded this afternoon to the shore off Brookfield Road near Lakeshore and Dorval. Firefighters were able to retrieve the body, said to be an adult male. The coroner has been notified, as Holton police say they haven't confirmed the man's identity or the circumstances surrounding his death.
Still ahead, a roller coaster of emotions for students told they've been accepted to York University, only to learn hours later it was a mistake. What happened in moments.
But first, it's Friday, and we need to get you filled in on the forecast. A live shot this hour showing much of what we've seen all day. Gray, cloudy, unsettled. Fortunately, nicer days are in view. Jessica Smith is here with the current conditions. What are you seeing, Jess?
We are finally getting a break, Michelle, from the dreary conditions we've had over the past couple of days, and the sunshine will make its grand return as we head in towards the weekend. A slow but steady return, but hey, it all counts. We're still holding on to cloud cover and kind of a fine mist out there, where the bulk of the system is tracking its way into eastern Ontario. Ontario, and we still have a really light northerly or northeasterly wind as we head into this early part of our evening. Temperature-wise, still on the positive side. Warmer still through Windsor. Northern Ontario actually much warmer than Southern Ontario for now, but we will see a bit of a trade-off as we head into your Saturday and Sunday with a return to the double digits. We're at 4 degrees apiece right now through the islands over towards Pearson tonight. Really no change, and again that rain moves out and we finally get a break. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. Right now it's back to Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Jess. York University is apologizing for an embarrassing mistake.
They sent out email to grad students leading them to believe they've been accepted to a master's program. Only problem is the letter was sent in error. And as CTV's Scott Lightfoot reports, it's led to confusion and in some cases disappointment.
Zubin Gal says he was excited when he received an email from York University with the subject heading, "Congratulations on your admission."
I'm pretty happy about it. I think that I've gotten into York University Masters.
Gal has applied to a master's program at York, but a few hours later he got a second email saying the original email wasn't actually an acceptance letter, rather a miscommunication.
It's kind of a shocking thing for a big university to mess up on. You know, it's pretty like absurd incompetence on York's part.
In a statement to CTV News, a school spokesperson says, quote, "Although the email message was not an acceptance letter, we understand that it may have caused some confusion to those who received it. A follow-up email was sent to each recipient shortly afterward to clarify the mistake. It explained the error, acknowledged that it likely caused some confusion, and apologized for the mistake." The school won't say how many students received the mistaken acceptance email, only that fewer than half of all grad school applicants received it.
I received my rejection in January, so I didn't know what to think. At first, I thought the best that somehow someone had reconsidered.
Among them, students like Edward Useem, who'd already received a rejection letter from their chosen program.
It's a tremendous and careless error. Mistakes happen, but in a process that's as opaque as the grad school application process, where you throw hundreds of dollars for the privilege of having your application reviewed, I would hope that they would at least, be transparent and careful in their communications.
Useem has been accepted to another university. Gell is still waiting to hear officially from York, but he says he'll be double-checking all future emails from the school. Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
Take a look at this. An OPP cruiser ended up on its roof after a crash this afternoon in Brampton. Peel police say the cruiser was involved in a collision with another vehicle around 12:15 near Sandalwood Parkway and Veterans Drive. Traffic was disrupted in the area, but no serious injuries were reported.
A house fire in Brampton last night sent one person to hospital. Just before 8:30 p.m., emergency crews responded to a townhome on Fleetwood Crescent near Bramalea and Clark Boulevard. Peel paramedics say they transported one victim from the scene with serious injuries. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Here in the city, no injuries reported in an early morning fire. It broke out on the storefront of a snowplow company near Lawrence in Caledonia just after 2:30 in the morning. Toronto Fire says crews were able to put the flames out, but they stayed on scene to watch for hotspots. The cause of that fire is also being investigated.
Returning to our coverage of the impact of Trump's tariffs, the trade war, a major issue at a meeting of Ontario's big city mayors.
And as CTV's Mike Walker reports, civic leaders are calling for more financial support to deal with the fallout.
I don't think we've ever seen such a consistent level of inconsistency.
Ontario's big city mayors say Trump's tariffs and the global trade war are creating chaos and causing local businesses to push pause.
We have heard directly that they are not expanding lines. They are putting pause on capital expansion projects.
Tariffs front and center at the big city mayor's annual general meeting, where they unanimously passed a resolution calling for stimulus funding from both the federal and provincial governments in response to tariffs to help pay for infrastructure, including transit, roads, schools, and housing.
Not only provides sustainability for projects into the future, but it gets our people to work at a time that there is great uncertainty.
Governments have pledged billions of dollars in response to tariffs. The mayors didn't provide a dollar value, but Toronto's mayor says the city has shovel-ready housing projects where that stimulus money could be spent, including affordable housing.
We could get 20,000 units of housing with shovel in the ground ready to go if we could get some support to defer development charges.
In response, the premier points to the $22 billion commitment for infrastructure projects he made during the election.
We're going to hand over money to communities that want to build homes or big industrial buildings to attract more businesses here. But they have to start building as quickly as possible.
And while the big city mayors unanimously support more stimulus funding, Buy Canadian and excluding American companies from bidding on contracts is where there is some disagreement.
Over 22,000 jobs, Canadians that are working in U.S.-based companies here in the city of Markham.
Markham's mayor says his city has opted not to follow others like Toronto that intend on awarding contracts exclusively to Canadian companies.
We would not want to do anything that would jeopardize their ability to bid on tenders or anything that we're buying. Again, it's taken decades to attract those industries.
It's the question of priorities, and we want to prioritize Toronto and local and Canadian company first.
For Toronto's part, Chow says there will be an update next week on how the city plans to implement its tariff response action plan. Mike Walker, CTV News.
We're learning about how much revenue Ontario collected from its one-day surcharge on energy exports to the U.S. last month. On March 10th, the Ford government collected $260,000 when it placed a 25% surcharge on electricity sent to 3 states. It was in response to the U.S. tariffs and led to the Trump administration saying it would double tariffs on aluminum and steel before cooler heads prevailed and both sides backed down.
And those U.S. tariffs were the focus of a meeting today chaired by the Prime Minister in Ottawa.
But the other federal leaders were on the campaign trail with just over 2 weeks until Canadians cast their ballots. CTV's Kamal Karamali reports.
Liberal leader Mark Carney taking a pause from the campaign trail to meet with the Cabinet Committee on Canada-U.S. Relations Friday and ready a response to the escalating tariff war between U.S. and China that's deeply affecting Canada.
The initial signs of slowing in the global economy, impacts that we're starting to see unfortunately in the Canadian economy, particularly in the Canadian labour market.
While Carney was tied up, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre pouncing on the opportunity with campaign events in southern Ontario starting in St. Catharines.
This plan includes tax relief,
promoting his economic action plan, claiming it'll boost Canada's economic activity by $500 billion.
We will cut taxes on work, investment, home building, and energy to unleash production and paychecks here in Canada.
It's a tight race with just over 2 weeks until the election, with the Tories continuing to close the gap on the Liberals in the past week. With NDP leader Jagmeet Singh falling further behind, a distant third in the polls. He was in the nation's capital Friday, where he urged voters to send more New Democrats to Ottawa, but has stopped saying recently that he's running for prime minister and sidestepped questions about his future as the party's leader.
Is this your last election?
I'm focused on the campaign in front of me. Canada works best when one party doesn't have all the power.
Hey.
The Bloc Québécois leader in Montreal today pushing the federal government to create a border minister to tackle the issue of illegal migrants crossing in from the U.S. Carney expected to be back on the campaign trail soon, but saying the Canada-U.S. Relations Cabinet Committee has left instructions for the next government to be in the best position to negotiate tariffs with the United States, which is set to begin in May. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
Beijing has raised the stakes in its tariff battle with the United States. Starting tomorrow, Chinese duties on American goods will increase from 84% to 125%.
If China continues to retaliate, it's not good for China. The United States of America is the strongest, best economy in the world, as evidenced by the more than 75 countries who have called the administration immediately to cut good deals. So the president wants to do what's right for the American people. He wants to see fair trade practices around the globe, and that's his intention and his goal.
The U.S. paused some import taxes for dozens of countries this week, but it raised tariffs on China, and they now total 145%. The escalating actions by the world's two largest economies continue to rattle the markets, but Canadian and U.S. stocks closed higher today following that chaotic roller coaster week for investors.
Snowbirds and other Canadians planning to be in the United States for more than 30 days are required to register with the U.S. government as of today. Registration will be mandatory for everyone 14 and older without legal status. Parents and guardians of anyone under age 14 must ensure that they are registered. U.S. federal immigration law has long required people who aren't American citizens and live there to register. But in January, U.S. President Donald Trump issued an executive order to begin enforcing an existing law that was typically not applied to Canadians, especially those driving across the border. Anyone who has an I-94 form that shows proof of legal entry into the U.S. is automatically registered.
The UK is teaming up with Norway to provide more than $580 million in military aid to Ukraine. It will include money for drones, radar systems, and anti-tank mines. Germany is also sending 4 air defense systems. Meanwhile, the Duke of Sussex made an unannounced visit to Ukraine today.
Welcome to Ukraine. It's my first visit to Ukraine. And it certainly won't be the last.
Prince Harry visited an orthopedic clinic in Lviv that treats and rehabilitates wounded military personnel and civilians. Ukraine integrates sports recovery into its support for wounded troops. Since 2017, it has been active in the Invictus Games that were founded by the Duke. He was accompanied today by 4 veterans who have been through similar rehabilitation experiences.
Coming up, a small Ontario town holds a virtual meeting with a Hollywood heavyweight. Why actor Ryan Reynolds is urging Coburg to rename a local arena after a 9-year-old named Grace.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, we have to be on the lookout for scams every day. And one that's fooling many people is the use of deepfakes. That's when criminals use someone's likeness to get them to invest or buy products. Some celebrities are now fighting back. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
And the unsettled weather continues as we wrap up our Friday. But the good news is we remain relatively mild, but that drizzle is not going away until we get into the start of the day tomorrow. And there is sunshine as we head into your weekend. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. And stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Artificial intelligence has led to an explosion of deepfake scams online. That's when someone steals a person's likeness for criminal purposes.
Deepfake videos often use celebrities to trick people into investing in cryptocurrency, apply for fake jobs, or purchase shoddy products. Pat Foran has our story on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. The videos often show up on social media feeds, and as AI continues to improve, the videos can look very convincing. It's important for you and your family to know what you see online isn't always what you get.
And now it's time to play.
Steve Harvey is best known as a popular host who enjoys handing out money on game shows. He became concerned when he found out his likeness and voice is being used by scammers to fool his fans and take their money. He's fighting back to protect his image.
I don't want fans of mine or people who aren't fans to be hurt by something because I said go do it, and it wasn't even me.
Deepfake technology is getting more convincing by the day. The head of a deepfake detection company says it's the #1 digital risk people should be worried about.
Over the last few years, there's been an explosion of calls claiming that we have your daughter. She's in trouble, send money or else. Well, what's happened more recently is the call comes in and says, we are your daughter. Hi, I'm your daughter. I'm in trouble. Send money right now.
Deepfakes have been used to defraud Canadians of millions of dollars in cryptocurrency scams, often with fake videos of Elon Musk and Justin Trudeau.
We have developed an investment platform.
Some deepfakes are so advanced it's hard for even experts to tell. Consumer Reports reviewed 6 voice cloning apps and uncovered a troubling trend.
So 4 of the 6 apps had no meaningful way to ensure that the user had the original speaker's consent to voice clone them.
It's important to be aware that deepfakes are being used and take steps to protect yourself.
So the first thing is just knowing that deepfake scams like this exist. The second thing is using two-factor authentication on all of your financial accounts. And then the third thing is just being wary of calls, any type of texts, or any type of emails that are asking you for your personal financial information or just personal data.
And be cyber aware. If something doesn't seem right, chances are it isn't.
By default, you should not believe anything you see online. You should always kind of follow just standard common sense.
How many people we got to watch get hurt by this before somebody does something?
And also be aware of voice cloning. You could get a call from someone who sounds like a friend or a family member, but it could be a cloned voice being used by a scammer. If they're asking for money, double check with the person to make sure it's really them. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, looking at the forecast, it is Friday, another gray day, another chilly day, but the good news is the weekend's going to be much different.
We've been talking about this weekend all week because I would say this week has been lousy weather-wise. It's not ideal April weather, and then the day has come. It's tomorrow and Sunday. It's going to be a lot better. I mean, not incredible, but a lot better than what we've had.
We'll take what we can get this time of year because April is one of those months where it is just so changeable, and I feel like I haven't seen the sun in so long. I'm trying to photosynthesize like a flower, and it's hard to do that when there's no sunshine. As we head into the weekend, just in time for a lot of the city-run golf courses to open up, we'll finally get weather that is agreeable to actually spend some time outside. And as we make our way in towards Sunday, it gets even nicer. It's a busy travel time. With Passover this weekend, we're heading in towards Easter. A lot of folks likely out on the road, and this weekend making for an easier one to get out. Depending on where you were today, it wasn't terrible. Morningside Park, a nice drive, but I feel like as you head out through the weekend, if you wanted to get out for a drive, maybe walk through one of the parks in the GTA, a much nicer weekend to do so. Again, it wasn't awful, but it also wasn't awesome to spend time outside today. But as we step into your Saturday and your Sunday, we'll get a little bit of a reprieve. Now, Northern Ontario, they're holding on to all of the warmth. They have a southerly wind there that's warming them up a little bit better. They're at 13 degrees through Thunder Bay and Red Lake right now. Here in the GTA, kind of sitting around 4 or 5. So by no means is it cold, and we are seeing a change over to a more southerly flow to the winds. It's just not doing what we need it to just yet as that system continues to push its way out. Tonight, though, we are holding on just above seasonal, and for the most part, we're at a relatively comfortable point, but it still feels quite damp out there. The good news as we head into the day tomorrow, we'll start to see temperatures rise. We'll get back to a much more seasonal point and still looking at a fairly light wind. Now, it is a cloudier start to the day. We do see that cloud cover break up as high pressure starts to push its way in, but it is going to take a little bit of time. Again, the bulk of that system makes its way out. Behind it, we'll see things start to warm up, things start to dry up a little bit after a soggy couple of days. And a change in wind direction and incoming high pressure will help to do a lot to dry things up just a little. As we head throughout the rest of our evening, again, it is just that light cloud cover, kind of almost like a fine mist or a drizzle with these really low clouds sitting over us. And then we get into our Saturday and things start to clear up just a little bit. We don't get brilliant sunshine as we head throughout at least the start of our weekend, but we will see a little bit of sun before the sun sets into the evening, and then high pressure really does its thing as we head in towards Sunday, and we get more consistent sunshine throughout the day and temperatures just above seasonal. It is short-lived, though, because there's another system on the way set to bring a little bit of rain as we head in towards Monday, but we will finally see a return to a much more seasonal forecast. We haven't really been there for the majority of the week. Temperature-wise, we get back to kind of that seasonal average spot on for the most part through your Saturday and Sunday. Again, Saturday, a generally cloudy day. That sunshine doesn't come until a little bit later, but we do lose a little bit of our heat. As we head into the evening, we drop below seasonal. Through your Sunday, we start to see a return of that high pressure. It will clear things out and a beautiful end to the weekend, although it is short-lived. We get a little warmer on Monday, but we see another system come through, starting as rain and then set to transition over to the potential of a little bit of mixing as we head in towards your Tuesday. So I know everyone's kind of over the spring snow, but we have another dose of it as we head in towards next week. But we look ahead to the middle of the week and it gets a little nicer. We see some sunshine return. But April showers are going to do what they do, and it returns just in time for Good Friday. So there is a little more rain on the way, but we will finally get there as we kind of trickle in towards the end of the month. So there is some hope on the horizon, especially into this weekend and looking ahead to at least parts of next week. Michelle, I'll send things back over to you.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks.
Also tonight, rising criticism amid rising cases. The province's handling of the measles outbreak is being called a failure by some health experts. We explain why.
The absolute final deadline for the Princess Margaret Home Lottery is today. Tickets are selling fast. You need to get your tickets now. PrincessMargaretLotto.com or call that number on your screen. I'm joined by Ramona Oz from the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, and we are standing in the biggest grand prize ever for the lottery.
That is absolutely right, G. Valued at $9 million and includes this incredible show home designed by none other than Brian Gluckstein. Comes with $500,000 cash. Doesn't get any better than that. Oh, and I forgot, there's a pool, saltwater pool at that. So it's an all-in-one, so many bedrooms, bathrooms. You can host lots of friends and family here.
And that ticket is also good for 17,000 other incredible prizes. There's another grand prize in Georgian Bay.
That's right, valued at $2.6 million show home plus $50,000 cash. We have cars, vacations, and of course our add-ons. G,
my favorite one.
Your favorite one. Our first add-on, the 50-50. The jackpot is now valued at more than $6.2 million. That means the winner will take home over $3.1 million. But you can't win if you don't buy your ticket. Absolute final deadline is tonight at midnight. And you can also add on a cash calendar where we're giving away cash for 100 days, 2 grand prizes of $200,000 each, and of course our all-new Wanderlist, incredible bucket list vacations.
Amazing prizes, but also it goes to a wonderful cause.
That's right. Funds from the home lottery really fuel cancer research at the Princess Margaret, one of the top cancer research centers in the world. And the funds benefit not only cancer patients here in Ontario, but cancer patients across Canada and around the world.
All right, the clock is ticking. They are selling fast. That 50-50 jackpot is growing, so get your tickets now. PrincessMargaretLotto.com or call that number on your screen.
A group of healthcare advocates is criticizing the province's handling of a worsening measles outbreak.
The Ontario Health Coalition says officials should be doing more to protect the public from the highly contagious virus. Since October, 816 measles cases have been associated with an outbreak centered in southwestern Ontario. The Ontario Health Coalition pointed to declining vaccination coverage among school-aged children since 2017, calling it a public health failure that must be addressed with the utmost urgency. The group also said public health officials needed to do a better job of communicating how measles is airborne and how to stay safe. In response, a government spokesperson called the Ontario Health Coalition a, quote, group of professional complainers. She added, quote, our government and Chief Medical Officer of Health have been clear in our message to people across Ontario. Vaccination is the most effective way to limit the spread of measles and protect yourself and loved ones. And your loved ones, rather. We continue to work with all local public health units to ensure everyone is up to date with their measles vaccine to further limit the spread of measles. Now, this comes as Toronto Public Health issues a warning over potential measles exposures last week at Coca-Cola Coliseum. Officials say someone with the virus was at the venue on the evening of April 1st when it hosted Forrest Frank's Child of God tour. The warning advises anyone who was there to check their vaccination status and monitor for symptoms until April 22nd.
Actor Ryan Reynolds took part in a virtual meeting of Cobourg's town council to make a touching appeal. The Deadpool stars urging the town to rename a local arena after an inspirational girl from the area. Reynolds met 9-year-old Grace Bowen over a decade ago. She is diagnosed with osteosarcoma, the same kind of bone cancer Terry Fox had. She died months later in March 2015. In his comments to the town council, Reynolds said that meeting Grace changed his life.
I'd met Grace backstage with Haley Wickenheiser. I was just really taken by Grace. Her name kind of said it all. Grace at some point came up and gave me a hug or something. I forget exactly what it was. But I just remember looking at this little girl who's going through so much, and her parents who, but yet she's going through so much, yet she has this sort of sense of calm and this sense of well-being. And Just from the moment I met her that night, I said, I'm never, as long as I live, if I have a free moment for any kid who's carrying a bag of rocks around like that, or their parents, I will make time for them.
Reynolds says Grace was an avid hockey player and the arena was her temple. Council will consider the request April 30th.
A well-known TV actor is sharing news of a serious medical diagnosis. Eric Dane has been diagnosed with ALS. The 52-year-old says he's grateful for his family's support as they navigate this new chapter. Dane rose to fame as Dr. Mark McSteamy on Sloan on Grey's Anatomy and is set to begin production on season 3 of Euphoria next week.
Music fans from around the world are heading to the Southern California desert this weekend for the Coachella Music Festival. This is the first of 2 weekends which will see some of the biggest names in music filling out the lineup. Tonight's headliner will be Lady Gaga, one of several performances leading up to her upcoming world tour. Other artists set to take the stage this weekend include Travis Scott, Green Day, and Post Malone.
It's expected to be another blowout at the weekend box office for a Minecraft movie.
In the overworld, wow, anything you can dream about, you can create.
Deadline reports the video game adaptation is on track to bring in $80 million US for an easy win on its second weekend. Animated biblical movie King of Kings is aiming for an $18 million opening, while The Amateur, starring Rami Malek, is expected to debut with $15 million in ticket sales.
After the break, the quest for the coveted green jacket. Canadian Corey Connor still in contention. How he fared in Toronto's round, or today's round, we've got the highlights.
Not a good day for the town of Ingersoll and certainly the employees that are affected by this.
Updating our top stories, another blow for Ontario's auto sector as GM announces a temporary shutdown at its CAMI plant in Ingersoll. All 1,200 workers will be laid off Monday with plans for a brief restart in May and then only one shift from October onwards. The company says it's making changes in response to market demand, and the pause doesn't have anything to do with U.S. tariffs.
You can imagine how traumatizing this is for the people who were involved.
Toronto police are on the hunt for suspects after a violent break-in this morning at a family home near Finch in McCowan. Investigators say the group bound the people inside with zip ties and struck one man with a hammer. A second man was also hurt. Relatives tell CTV News an occupant of the home works with gold. Police believe this incident was targeted.
It's kind of a shocking thing for a big university to mess up on.
And York University is apologizing after sending what looked like an acceptance email to a number of grad school applicants. The university later clarified that the messages were not sent on purpose and acknowledged that they may have caused some confusion. York hasn't said how many students were sent the email in error.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca, and you can download the CTV News app. And if ever you have a news tip, photos, or video or breaking news, let us know.
Stocks moved higher in Canada and the U.S. today. Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg has the details in business.
Hello there. Toronto stocks rose 2.5%, and the U.S. market was up almost 2% today. One catalyst was a slight recovery in the price of U.S. government bonds. They have declined over the past week, and that has sparked fears that international investors are taking money out of America because it's seen as a loose cannon economically and politically under the unpredictable leadership of President Donald Trump. Trump's tariffs have driven wild swings in the stock market this week, but the S&P 500 and Toronto Composite are both up from last Friday. The Canadian dollar changed hands at 72 cents US, up about 1/2 cent. West Texas Intermediate oil traded at $61.50, up $1.43. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select oil, $49.68 US a barrel, down $1.76. And the TSX Composite finished at 23,587.8, up just under 573 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The TTC says subway service in the downtown core is operating normally again after 2 days of widespread delays. A damaged signal cable near Union Station meant trains had to run slower as a safety precaution. Crews were able to fix the issue over 2 nights of repairs. This weekend, though, there will be no service on Line 2 between Jane and Ossington because of track work. Shuttle buses will be running instead.
And critical track work this weekend will mean service disruptions for many GO train passengers. Stouffville line trains will be replaced by buses that will serve Union Station and stops outside the TTC service area. Lakeshore East trains will run every 30 minutes between Danforth GO and Durham College, Oshawa GO. And Lakeshore West trains will operate on a modified hourly schedule. You can find all the departure times at gotransit.com.
In sports, the Toronto Raptors will play their second last game of the season tonight.
Coming off of a double-double, his first career double-double. Battle the three! Bucket and book it!
The Raps have won 2 in a row after Wednesday's 126-96 victory over Charlotte. This evening, they are in Dallas to take on the Mavericks. Toronto has a 7.5% chance of getting the #1 overall pick in next month's draft lottery. The Raptors finish their season in San Antonio on Sunday.
With Texas. Here's a ball well hit off the bat of Jimenez. A long way to right center, and it's gone.
Tonight's Blue Jays game against the Orioles has been postponed because of rain. It was supposed to be the first of a 3-game series in Baltimore. It'll be made up as part of a doubleheader July 29th. Toronto is in second place in the AL East. The Orioles have not won a series yet.
Mueller will go for a change as time winds down in Bud Farr Arena. The fans bringing the energy here as it's a 4-0 win for Team Canada against Switzerland.
Team Canada is off to a strong start at the Women's World Hockey Championship in Czechia. The Canadians are now 2-0 after today's game. They played less than 18 hours after blanking Finland 5-0 yesterday. The defending champions square off against the United States on Sunday and the Czechs on Monday.
Meanwhile, the Canadian is still on the leaderboard at the Masters. Corey Connors of Listowel, Ontario, is tied for 3rd after the second round of play. Connors is sitting at -6, 2 behind tournament leader Justin Rose.
Just ahead, taking care of business, how a brother and sister duo are turning a not-so-pleasant sign of spring into a golden opportunity. We've got the scoop after the break.
Tonight, are Americans on the fence about coming to Canada?
Out of 100 cars, I've only seen like 1 New York plate.
The vast majority of people say they'll be welcoming.
The trade war's impact on cross-border tourism. Later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weekend. And a special happy Friday to those of you listening to the newscast live on Newstalk 1010.
Now more than ever, Canadians need to know where our leaders stand. Tariffs, job security, sovereignty, an election like never before. Now more than ever, CTV News delivers a Canadian voice with perspective that cuts through the clutter, focusing on the stories that affect us all, connecting you to Canada's most trusted news, wherever you are. CTV News, now more than ever.
Many of us love dogs, but none of us love what they leave behind.
A pair of young siblings recognized this and identified a business opportunity. And as CTV's Corey Baird reports, now they're turning droppings into dollars.
Spring in the city. The birds are singing, the snow has melted. But with one wrong step, that serenity can be smushed.
There are a lot of poos. It's everywhere.
It's the time of year when navigating parks and sidewalks has become a game of hot potato. One wrong step and you'll find what this guy or this guy left behind.
Keep an eye out, man.
And so these 2 students have stepped in so you don't step in it.
There's some landmines that need to be defused.
They've launched a business called Scoopy Poo.
Oh, there's one.
As the name implies, from backyards to city parks, They'll handle your dirty work.
My sister's in high school, and I'm in college, and, you know, it was a little bit hard for us to find a part-time job, so we thought, why not create one ourselves? Don't put it too close, yeah.
Now the hardest part is keeping up with demand. Based off a lone Facebook post 2 weeks ago, these bucket-toting siblings have traveled from Mississauga to Vaughan, even Milton. Not bad for an operation that's still reliant on the availability of Dad's minivan.
We have all of these poops on the streets, on the sidewalks, in parks. People are stepping on it, complaining about it. So we thought maybe there might be a little bit of a niche market for us.
They're amazing kids. And to have that entrepreneurial spirit at such a young age, like so many kids just don't do so many things. And I grew up in a time where like it snowed and the kids would bring their shovels.
And whether it's the start of a waste disposal dynasty or just a way to pay for the next family vacation, one thing's for certain.
Yep.
There may not be gold in the hills, but there's plenty of nuggets, enough to make their pockets and the city a little greener, one scoop at a time.
Boom.
Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
Isn't that great? Now, I'm told as far as what they charge, they go in increments based on excrement.
Seriously?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, my gosh. There's just so many jokes there.
Of
I love
course.
it. Let's keep...
I was going to try to segue, but there's no real way to segue. It's been maybe something you want to clean up, this forecast that we've had over the past couple of days, to try to put it politely. But it is going to get a little bit sunnier out there and a little bit easier maybe for them to be able to see all the things that they are cleaning up. Temperature-wise, it's still a little cool as we wrap up our Friday, but as we step into the weekend, you won't be stepping in it because the sunshine is going to return slowly but surely. A little cloudy for your Saturday, but the sun makes a late day appearance. Sitting at 4 degrees right now, 9 in Windsor, 4 in Ottawa. It's a little cool out there, but we will see a double-digit return as we head into your weekend. A little cloudy again to kick off the weekend, but I'll take it. Sunday looking spectacular. The city golf courses are open. If you want to get out, it's a great day to hit the links throughout the weekend.
You've got us geared up for a great weekend. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.